Okay, it's time. 9 o'clock. Welcome aboard, everybody. It's Saturday morning. Lenny and I are doing baseball every day. And today we're going to talk about some news and notes. We're going to do some box scores. We're going to talk about some position battles. And I had a question on Twitter from our friend King Turd, who we love having in the chat room and we welcome, about the Cardinals. And Jordan Walker, I think, talked about the outfielders. Why can't they just play all four of their outfielders? What about Nolan Gorman? I did some research on that this morning, and we'll start the position battle segment with that stuff. But to start with, let's talk about some news and notes from the last couple days. Just to let you know, the World Baseball Classic is going on. We all know that. It hasn't really gotten to, I would say, peak interest yet, but the games are really long. If you look at the game times, 4 hours and 9 minutes between Cuba and Panama, 4 hours and 4 minutes between Japan and Korea, 3 hours and 58 minutes between Italy and Chinese Taipei, 3 hours and 54 minutes for the Czech Republic versus China. Basically, to sum it all up, these games are lasting 4 freaking hours each. It's crazy, especially when we're over here, we're so excited that the game times are going down like 30 minutes. They really have shortened the game time so far this spring. It seems like the games are not even lasting anywhere close to 3 hours. Hold on, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. And speaking of the World Baseball Classic, the Phillies brought back Ranger Suarez from the World Baseball Classic because of left forearm tightness. He will receive treatment here and he will be pushed back a few days. People say, well, these players, they shouldn't be going to the World Baseball Classic because they should be here getting ready for baseball. But I can't imagine getting ready for baseball any better way than going and participating for your country, representing your country. I think it's patriotic, but the USA team, they just keep dropping like flies. I mean, it's kind of sad for our country, but it is nice to see these countries and these players going, and they're getting ready just as much as anybody else. All right, so Ranger Suarez is back with forearm tightness. He's going to be pushed back a few days. We'll see what happens there. And speaking of the Phillies, too, Andrew Painter. We talked a lot about Andrew Painter. I know Lenny has. I know that the fantasy community is talking a lot about Andrew Painter. Leonard, how's the sound? Is anybody saying the sound is good?
Sound is good. Eddie Heckman says it's good.
Thank you, Eddie.
I'm listening to you.
I know. I know. Okay. But Andrew Painter. So we know he's going to start the season on the injured list. And I know that he's a very exciting youngster. He's only going to turn 20 on April 10th. And so he's a highly touted youngster, number 10 prospect in baseball, if you believe what ESPN says. And he was expected to push for major league playing time this season. And he really did just blow through the Phillies system last year. However, we know he has a right proximal UCL strain. Why is that important? It's important to mention that his UCL tear is proximal, and because that could really matter in terms of how long and what his eventual prognosis will be, whether or not is he going to have Tommy John surgery. I've only known one pitcher ever to tear their UCL and not require Tommy John surgery eventually. Now, that could change. I know, the medical, it continues to evolve every year. But the reason that it's important with Andrew Painter is that according to a study on UCL management, 17 of the 19 pitchers with proximal tears avoided Tommy John surgery. So the question is, when these pitchers tear their UCL, is it just better to just get the Tommy John surgery over with? Because, like I said, there's only been one pitcher. Who was it? He pitched on the Yankees and he just recently stopped pitching. Tanaka. It was Tanaka. he avoided Tommy John surgery, but he tore his UCL. And I was like, this guy is eventually going to get it. Because they do. They just eventually get it. According to this study, though, if it's proximal tear, 17 of the 19 pitchers avoided Tommy John surgery. So what do you guys think? This guy's 20 years old. Should he just get the Tommy John surgery done and over with and move on with his little career? Or should they continue to baby this and hope that it goes away on its own? I'd like the chat room to chime in on this. Now, the Yankees center fielder Harrison Bader is going to begin the year on the injured list with an oblique strain. What does that mean? Well, you have, center field. That means that Aaron Judge and Aaron Hicks are candidates to slide over into the center while Bader is out. But you also have Oswaldo Cabrera. We wondered going into the season who's going to play left field for this team. And now it just kind of feels like they don't really need Harrison Bader that bad because Oswaldo Cabrera is a decent outfielder, and they also have Aaron Judge and Aaron Hicks. Also, don't forget Estevan Florial. He could see playing times. He's out of options, and he is this spring, he is playing well. He's stealing bases, and hopefully he'll get his act together. But I'm sure you all remember how much we loved Estevan Florial coming up through the minors, thinking that he was going to be the next best thing for the Yankees, and he just didn't pan out. So it seems like Harrison Bader, he'll be out with an oblique strain to start the season. Now, John Heyman's on the prowl again, making up stuff. I mean, I don't know.
Talking about my boy.
Talking about Lenny's favorite pitcher. Maybe not favorite, but Lenny really has a man crush on this guy. And I don't know why, because he's so horrible. Chris Flexen for the Seattle Mariners. John Heyman is out there saying, could Chris Flexen be a trade option for the Yankees? Of course, it's always the Yankees, right? He says he posted a 3.61 and 3.73 ERA the past 2 years, and the Mariners may not have room for him in their rotation. He's also having a nice spring. He's actually listed in the rotation depth charts for the Mariners as the number 6th starting pitcher. He's behind Marco Gonzalez, but you know how that rolls. I mean, Marco Gonzalez, these two guys could probably go with the 6-man rotation in Seattle and spare both of these guys some stuff on their arms. So Flexen wasn't that bad last year, but he did walk a lot of batters. You think about it this way. He pitched 137 innings. He only struck out 95, and he walked 51 batters. That makes his whip 133. So I will say this. In Flexen's defense and in Lenny's defense for drafting this guy on every team, he pitched 5 innings so far this spring, 2 games started, no earned runs, 1 win, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. 4 hits in 5 innings. So he's not having a bad spring. I like to reiterate, there's not a lot that you could tell about spring training stats, but there are some things that you can tell. I always pay attention to the batting order. I think that they're trying to establish a batting order that works for the team. You're going to see a lot of youngsters getting at bats. You're going to see some starting pitchers coming in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th inning, and they're actually facing the top hitters on the team when they do that. I also think you can tell a lot about a pitcher's health in the spring. They don't pitch a lot of innings, but if they're out there pitching and they're striking out batters, it's a good sign. However, if a pitcher is pitching bad in spring, it doesn't necessarily mean jack, okay? It doesn't mean jack. The position battles, you could kind of tell, but for the most part, you're not going to see a lot in spring training stats. You can tell if a team is willing to run, though, and we've been paying a lot of attention to stolen bases. So when we go through the box scores today, we're going to look at batting order, we're going to look at stolen bases, we're going to look at who's hitting home runs, and the position battles as well. Moving on to the notes. The Dodgers rotation, you have Tony Gonsolin out, and you have, if you look at the RotoWire rotation depth chart for the Dodgers, you'll see 8 pitchers on here. Walker Buehler is, of course, one of them. He's out. He might not even pitch all season, so that narrows it down to 7. Dave Roberts said yesterday that they're not going to count out Tony Gonsolin for opening day. But if he's not ready, which I doubt he will be, Ryan Pepio or Michael Grove will be the guy. One of those two guys will round out the 5-man rotation because you have Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias, Dustin May, Noah Syndergaard, and then either one of these two guys. Maybe they'll start with a 6-man rotation to start the season. So I did a little research on these two, Michael Grove and Ryan Pepiot, and they both started 3 games this spring. They both have pitched 6 innings, and they both have an ERA of 1.50. Pepiot strikes out more batters. He's got a 13.5 strikeout per 9, and Michael Grove has 7.5 strikeouts per 9. Although Michael Grove has only allowed 2 hits in 6 innings, while Ryan Pepiot has allowed 7 hits in 6 innings. Like I said, Ryan strikes out more than Michael. Last year, Ryan Pepiot, he had a 3.47 ERA with 42 strikeouts over 36 and 1/3 innings for the Dodgers. He also walked 27. So he's having issues with control, which has been an ongoing problem. Even in the minors, he had this problem. Still, I think that he probably has the better shot of getting the 5th starting spot while Gonsolin is out, but you never know. These two could share. Grove had a 4.60 ERA over 7 appearances and 6 starts for the Dodgers last season, which was his first taste of the big leagues. And, he's 25 years old. Michael Grove, 25 years old, 29 and a third innings last year, allowed 32 hits and struck out 24, walking too many as well. Both of these guys are neither one of them really stands out over the other one. So watch these two guys. We'll see what happens. I do think that both of them are going to start out in the majors. Both of them finished the season in the majors last year, and Gonsolin may not be far behind that, so we won't have to have this discussion anymore. Marlins signed Yuli Gurriel. What do we think of Yuli Gurriel? I was considering drafting him in our AL only because, it gets pretty slim pickings at the end of an AL only, but clearly he would have been useless had I done that. Is he useless in an NL only? He's 38 years old. Now, the interesting thing about this situation is that management says that he's going to be given reps at second base and third base this spring. He's 38 years old and he hasn't made a start at a position other than first base since 2019, but he does have experience at third and a little bit of experience at second. Last year, he only hit .242 with a .288 on-base percentage. It used to be that this guy was great for on-base percentage leagues. Clearly, that's not the case anymore. I would really stay away from him in on-base percentage, but you never know. He's going to a new team. I know that they moved some dimensions over there in Miami to make it easier for these hitters to score runs. It used to be just a desert over there for hitters. I still think that the pitching is going to benefit in Marlins Park, but I think the hitters are also going to benefit a little bit more than they did before. Now, what if he plays DH? That's a place where he could be, and he's a great veteran player. I do think they're going to use him. It's a minor league contract, but it's hard to imagine that they're going to leave Yuli Gurriel in the minors. We'll just have to see. I think he'll get the most time at DH, but maybe just be a versatile bench spot where he can fill in at second, third, first. He used to play all 3 of those positions, so we'll see. Also, in Philly, we talk about Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper has, I think, 7 years left on his contract. I have no problem with Bryce Harper. He's clearly on the fast track to coming back from Tommy John surgery. The question is, well, let me just tell you the news. He hit off a tee for the first time on Thursday, and that was, he's really healing quickly, and he's moving right along in his healing process. He is expected to come back right about the middle of the season. Now, where's he going to play? I would really think that they're not going to put him in the outfield coming back from Tommy John surgery. He'll be able to hit the ball, but why would they even risk? We've had hitters come back from Tommy John surgery, and you typically see them batting DH for a while until they can get, their arm healed up good. But as far as pitchers go, Tommy John surgery is, once he comes back, he's usually better than he was before he went to Tommy John surgery. He's stronger because you have to really work hard to come back from that injury. I would say the same thing with hitters. His arm is going to be just as strong as it was before. This is not thoracic outlet syndrome. This is not something that puts players out of their career for life or, is a really hard thing to come back from. It's hard to come back from. It takes a year. That's really the hardest thing. So you have Derek Hall over there hitting like crazy right now. And yesterday there was some mention about Derek Hall in the chat room. I thought they were talking about DL Hall. He's a pitcher in Baltimore. They were talking about Derek Hall, and I can see why they're talking about Derek Hall because he is actually doing very good this spring. He's batting designated hitter. He also plays some first base. But I would warn you, as good as he's doing, and as much as I do believe he's going to have a spot on the opening day roster, I would be hesitant in the fact that where's he going to play once Bryce Harper comes back and takes over that DH spot, because he doesn't play outfield. So you can either put him at first base or designated hitter. And of course, the guy who bats well stays in the lineup, and that's just that. Did I mention Harper he's still expected to be back around the middle of the season, but I would bet earlier than that, so don't hesitate. I mean, he's going late in drafts. Not that late, though. I don't have him on any team, even though I've always held the same idea. I'm absolutely all for getting Harper at the right price, but I feel like maybe he's still going a little bit too high for my taste. Although, I gotta say, the outfield drops off like a freaking cliff right in the middle of your draft, so do not hesitate to get yourself a couple of outfielders in the first 10 rounds. You have to do it. You have to, or you will be left with Abisil Garcia and stuff like me. Okay. All right, let's do some box scores real quick. How's it going in the chat room, Leonard?
Great.
Is everybody talking?
Oh, you got 28 people in the chat room.
Okay, great. What do we have with the Braves? Jeffrey Springs. It's interesting with Springs. I was surprised to see how high he's going in drafts. I think he's getting drafted in the top 200. If I'm not wrong, I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I don't want to speculate too much. But Bryce Elder, he's on the Braves, right? Okay, Ian Anderson pitched yesterday, and there is a position battle that we've talked about on this show between Ian Anderson and Bryce Elder for one of the rotation spots. Now, I did a little bit more digging on that because Ian Anderson did pitch yesterday. He pitched 3 2/3 innings, 2 strikeouts, 1 earned run. He's got a 6.14 ERA this spring. And then, so because I saw what he was doing, I went and looked at what RotoWire is saying about him. And the other day, he actually came in behind Charlie Morton. I don't know if that says anything, since there is a position battle here for a starting spot. And when you put Anderson in behind the starter, does that mean anything? Probably not. But in 7 1/3 innings pitched so far this spring, he's walked 8 batters, and he's had a problem with walks, and it doesn't seem to be going away. His ERA, like I said, is 6.14 on the spring. He's allowed 2 home runs in 7 innings, not a good ratio at all. And then I said, all right, well, what's his opposition over there, or his competition, Bryce Elder, doing for the spring? 7 2/3 innings, also 2 home runs, a 7.04 ERA, 6 strikeouts, and 2 walks. So neither of these guys are really blowing it out of the water. But, this is a position battle, and we'll see who ends up in the rotation. Grissom was batting leadoff, which I love. And that's about it. The Braves beat the Rays 3-2. The Blue Jays and the Red Sox. Oh, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for everybody that's a Red Sox fan. The Red Sox finally lost a game this spring, and they are no longer undefeated. All right, they're 9-1, and the Blue Jays are 8-6. Interesting, right? That the Blue Jays have played so many more games than the Red Sox, really. All right. So here's the problem, and this is the thing. Toronto actually left 10 runners on base yesterday. They were 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position, and they still beat the Red Sox 2-0. You had Zach Thompson up against Corey Kluber. Kluber threw 3 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, but his ERA on the spring is 2.35. He used to be a Cy Young, couple times Cy Young, so he's just over the hill a little bit. Tapia stole a base and for the Red Sox in the first inning. And let me see if there's anything else on this game De Los Santos for Toronto. He was caught stealing and picked off. He was caught stealing at second base, and then he was picked off at first base. So, no bueno for there in his spring, for the Blue Jays. Like I said, they were 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Not a great day. Yankees beat the Tigers 4-3. DJ LeMahieu, who I absolutely love. I was able to get this guy in like the 20th round or so in the TGFBI League. I'm telling you what, this guy is worth having, especially in deep leagues. You cannot understate this. He plays first, second, and third base. He is not fabulous, but if he's going to continue to bat leadoff, he gets on base, he has good plate discipline. DJ LeMahieu has not had a great couple of seasons, but I'm telling you what, he's worth getting for position eligibility, and just because of the lineup that he's in, batting leadoff, I love it. That doesn't mean he's going to bat leadoff in the season, but he has been batting leadoff a couple times that I've seen this spring. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa hit a home run and stole a base yesterday. He's battling for he's playing second base. And then next door to him, doesn't he play third base too, or shortstop?
Yes, he plays everywhere.
He plays shortstop, and you have Gleyber Torres there too, so I would think that Kiner-Falefa is going to get some time at shortstop. But he was batting fifth, LeMahieu batting first, Oswaldo Cabrera batting second, playing shortstop. Interesting. Aaron Hicks playing left field, batting fourth. And then you have for the Tigers, you have Riley Green batting second. Once again, Spencer Torkelson batting third. I really think Torkelson's going to have a better season this year. Did they put their walls in, right, in Detroit? They brought their walls in, so he should be able to hit more home runs. It's perfect for him. It works for his abilities because he hits to that specific part of the park, and I do think it's going to increase home runs for Torkelson if he can get his shit together. He's been nothing but a bust for fantasy managers, but you can't give up on this guy. If you were high on him last year, you were high on him the year before, you love this guy coming up, nothing's changed except for the fact that he didn't get off to a hot start. Do not give up on this guy completely. He's going to get everyday chance to play first base. Detroit Tigers are an up-and-coming team. They have a couple of great veterans in the clubhouse, and I do think that he is going to be much better than he was, and for the price, you can't beat it, really. If you're stuck with him at your corner, you're doing okay. Luis Severino pitched yesterday, 4 innings, 3 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 9.35 ERA, but still, just to see him out there pitching, we already know he's a stud. If he's healthy, he'll pitch well. The Yankees a couple days ago had a few solid performances from Andres Chaparro. He contributed 2 hits and a run over 2 at-bats. And, of course, Jason Dominguez, everybody's talking about him now because he hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. He's batting .438 with a .526 on-base percentage this spring. This guy does not have great plate discipline. It's up in the air whether or not he's going to be a stud. Yes, he can hit for power. Yes, he's a shiny new toy, but he doesn't have enough experience in the minors to come up. Although I've been wrong about that before, there's really no place for him to play right now. He's a minor leaguer. He's really exciting at the moment. But if you remember, Estevan Florial was just as exciting down in the fall league, and that was before he came up. I would say that there's some underlying question marks in Jason Dominguez's overall, what's the word? Play. Thanks, Leonard. Okay. The Phillies beat the Pirates 10-4. Are you surprised? Pittsburgh actually scored first. They scored 2 in the second, and then Philly just started just crushing them. In the fourth, they scored 6 innings. In the fifth, or 6 runs. In the fifth, they scored 2 runs. In the eighth, they scored 2 runs, and they pretty much just crushed the Pirates. No big surprise there, but O'Neal Cruz is batting leadoff. And then for the Phillies, you have Brandon Marsh batting leadoff with Rhys Hoskins, Alec Boehm, and Nick Castellanos. How many of you like Castellanos? And Derek Hall is batting right after Castellanos. So you have this top of the order here, in the middle of the order, especially with the Phillies. They're going to be just pounding the ball. Kingery hit a home run yesterday, his first home run of the season, or the spring. And Derek Hall hit 2 home runs. That's his 4th home run this spring. He is really working his magic to get on this roster. With Bryce Harper out, he's definitely going to be the DH here. He is going to be the DH for this team, starting the season off as the DH for the Phillies, batting in the middle of the order. He's an excellent fantasy pick as long as he doesn't go up way too high in the ADP. Zach Wheeler pitched 3 innings, 3 earned runs. I don't know what he's doing or what he's working on, but he's a reliable veteran, and I wouldn't really pay much attention to his spring training stats. Let's talk about Derek Hall for a minute. I did a little more. In 2022, he played he played AAA and in the majors. So he played 2 levels last year. He hit 37 home runs, stole 6 bases, and got caught stealing 1 time. Like I said, he's hit 4 home runs this spring. He is definitely working himself into a job on the opening day roster. The Angels and the Dodgers. The Dodgers beat the Angels 6-5. Taylor Ward led off the game with a home run against Clayton Kershaw on the second pitch. It's his first home run of the spring. Josh Outman, we're going to talk about when we talk about some position battles coming up. So I'll save it for that. But Clayton Kershaw, 3 innings, 5 hits, 2 strikeouts, 9 ERA on the season. He should be at the World Baseball Classic, but he's not. You got Oscar Colas still playing, batting .380 this spring. He is really trying hard for a job on the Major League roster to start the season. I know Mitch told me that they're going to give him every opportunity this spring, so this really is him working for a job. And he's batting 5th, and he's batting .380 this spring. So Sebi Zavala hit his 2nd home run of the spring, Leonard. Madrigal stole a base, also batting leadoff for the Cubbies. Did I tell you I'm talking about the Cubbies now? White Sox 4, Cubbies 3. I changed games without telling you guys. Anyway, Madrigal leading off for the Cubs. And then you have Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger, and Eric Hosmer. This is the same order that I've been seeing all spring with these guys. So I do like Cody Bellinger this year. But he is batting less than 200 this spring, so he's not really fascinating anybody yet. I do like him on the new team, though. So, Drew Smyly, 4 innings, 2 strikeouts, 4 hits. Giolito, 3 innings, 6 strikeouts. It's just nice to see Giolito healthy, really. San Diego Padres. Unfortunately, they didn't beat the Royals yesterday. The Royals beat them 1-0. You have Trent Grisham batting leadoff. What do you think of that, Malpal? And then you have Rougned Odor batting 4th right now. I don't know if that means anything, but, none of the good guys were. I think that a lot of these guys are off playing the World Baseball Classic because a couple of them at least, Machado and Soto, I don't know. They're not in the lineup, so they must be at the World Baseball Classic. For the Royals, Franmil Reyes. I've been drafting him lately. He doesn't really have a place to play, but he's a DH, and he only qualifies at DH, and he's going super late in drafts. I just got him as my 3rd reserve pick in a 15-team league, and he's playing every day this spring. He's batting .400 right now. He's batting 4th every single time I look. I really believe he's going to get a chance to play every day, even though he signed a minor league contract. Now, this is a type of guy, Franmil Reyes. I'm going to give you my reasonings for liking a guy like this. Yes, he might hit nothing, but we've seen him hit 30 homers, and we know that he has this raw power that he can actually hit 30 homers. So if you're going to take a chance on a guy in a reserve round, why not take a chance on a guy that can hit you 30 homers? He's perfect for that late in drafts. Now, Lenny loves Hunter Dozier. He's batting second every day. He's batting .333 this spring, and he worked really hard on his swing this offseason, worked with a really good pitching coach that some of the best hitters have used to fix their swing. So there is a chance that Hunter Dozier finally pulls it together. Now, in San Diego, it's interesting because I look at this pitching and for Padres. Jay Groom pitched yesterday. Does anybody in here know Jay Groom? I didn't know who he was. I'm sure Malpound knows who he is. 4 innings, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts. He's got a 0.00 ERA this spring. I went to the depth charts and I looked to see who is this guy. He was acquired in a trade for Hosmer. He is not even on the depth chart, not in the bullpen. He's not listed in the rotation. He's not listed anywhere. But last year in the minors, he pitched 144 innings. He had a 3.44 ERA and a 1.33 whip. Is he exciting? I don't know, but it's interesting to see that he pitched 4 innings yesterday. I think they're trying to figure out what to do with him. And I do know that the San Diego Padres have an excellent pitching coach. They're interested in this guy. I think that what I read was that he's one of the tallest players. I think he's one of the tallest pitchers ever in the game of baseball. I think he's like 6'11". Jay Groom.
Oh, really?
That's what I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Check him out. Go to RotoWire. Check him out. I think he is I think he's the tallest pitcher that's ever been.
Like you were wrong on my height.
I know, because you lied to me, Leonard. The Mariners beat the Reds 11-3. George Kirby, 2 innings, 1 walk, 1 strikeouts. Jonathan India batting leadoff for the Reds. Colton Wong batting leadoff for the Mariners, and this is not new. I think Colton Wong is a steal in drafts this year. He's nothing that exciting, but he's as good. Think about it. Does he have the potential of Gleyber Torres? No. But is he going to you're going to get him a lot later? Yes. Is he going to bat leadoff for the Mariners? Yes. Does the Mariners have a decent lineup this year? Yes. They made it to the playoffs last year for the first time. And another one that I would consider late, A.J. Pollock. Yes, I know he's over the hill. He likes to get hurt a lot, but when he's healthy, he plays well. He's batting 4th for the Mariners. And does that mean that that's going to continue? I don't know. But he still has potential to be in the lineup every day when he's healthy. And I love Ty France batting second. I think that Kalenic is going to have a decent season. I haven't liked this guy at all. But I do think maybe he finally had a bit of a reality check with his ego, because he really thought he was something else when he came up, and everybody else did too. So you can't hardly blame the guy. But he has faced some adversity without being able to hit very good at all in the majors. He doesn't have a lot of pressure now, and he is hitting well this spring. For sure. He went 2 for 2 yesterday. He's batting .400 this spring. If you liked him a couple years ago, you can't say you don't like him now just because he took longer than you wanted him to pan out. All right. The Guardians and the Brewers. Luke Voigt, another one we had a discussion about yesterday. I have to say, Luke Voigt also has a stipulation in his contract that says, if you don't put me on the opening day roster by opening day, then I have the right to sign with any other team I want, and I'm no longer yours. And yes, it's a minor league contract, and yes, it's very crowded over there for the Brewers. They're trying to give Keston Hiura another opportunity to see if he can finally hit, which he's been nothing but a failure to do so far. Sorry, it's kind of the truth hurts, but he hasn't been good. He's not a DH, so if he's anything, he's a second baseman or an outfielder. Their outfield is so crowded. There's like nowhere. And Luke Voigt is going to have to fight for playing time. Yesterday he went 0 for 3 batting DH. I do think he's going to spend his time at DH because they have a first baseman, and there's no doubt about that. Milwaukee scored 4 runs in the second inning, 3 runs in the third inning. Brandon Woodruff, 3 innings, no earned runs. He's looking healthy, but he just is not durable, this guy. 0 walks, so he got the win. Tristan McKenzie took the loss, 2 1/3, 5 earned ones. blah, blah, blah. Oscar Gonzalez batting fourth. I really like him this season. He's only batting 176 this spring, but he started to pull it together last year for the Guardians. He's kind of under the radar. I think he's a good outfielder to pick up in fantasy, and Stephen Kwan continues to bat leadoff. The Rockies beat the Giants 8-1. Austin Gomer, 4 innings pitched, no earned runs, 2 strikeouts. Nobody's drafting him because he pitches for Colorado. Alex Wood, this is an interesting situation over here for the Giants. You really have a good battle going on for who's going to get this 5th starting job for the Giants. You have DeSclafani, you have Alex Wood, and a couple others that are fighting for this job. But I do think that, Alex Wood, nobody's gonna argue that he's a good pitcher when he's healthy. When is he healthy? That's the question. He hasn't really been healthy very much in his career. Pitching for the Giants is an excellent asset, but, the Giants batting Lamont Wade first. There's a couple position battles we're going to talk about for the Giants today. C.J. Cron for the Rockies, batting fourth, hit a home run yesterday, which is good, and he's batting .238 this spring. He went 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs yesterday. The Giants, we're going to talk about them in a little bit. The Marlins 7, Washington Nationals 2. John Birdie leading off for the Marlins. Jorge Soler batting fourth. Luzardo, 4 innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. We'll see how that works. Miami scored in the 4th, 1, and then they scored 4 runs in the 5th. They actually had 13 hits. They scored 7 times. The Twins and the Orioles game was a tie. Not a lot to talk about on this game, really. Joe Ryan pitched 3 innings. Kyle Bradish pitched 4 innings, 8 strikeouts in 4 innings. That's pretty good. Kyle Stowers, we talked about him yesterday a little bit. He's batting fourth in the lineup, right behind Ryan Mountcastle. And then moving on, the Reds beat the Diamondbacks 6-5. Nick Lodolo won. Lourdes Gurriel, did I mention him last week? Let me be very clear about this. Lourdes Gurriel is going very late in drafts. And the reason is because this guy has never been able to hit in the right spot in the lineup for his fantasy value to rise. He did not get the opportunity to bat higher than 8th or 9th in the lineup when he was with Toronto. Now he has been batting all spring. He has been batting right in the middle of the lineup for the Diamondbacks. I absolutely think he is going to be able to do better than he's ever done. He gets on base, and he's reliable. He had an oblique strain a couple years ago, which even hurt his value even worse. I was highly disappointed in Lourdes Gurriel for fantasy, but I think that he's going to outdo he's going to have a career year this year. That's my opinion. He's batting .350 this spring, went 1 for 2 yesterday, playing left field and batting third in the lineup. Will Myers is batting high up in the lineup, second, and that's not the first time I've seen him batting up high. But look at this first baseman, Encarnacion Strand. He hit his 4th home run yesterday for the spring. 4th home run for the spring, which is great. Nobody's talking about him really. Seth Beer hit a home run for the Diamondbacks. And that's it for the box scores. How's the chat room, Leonard?
The chat room is great, but you're running out of time.
How am I running out of time? Well, I could do this show all day if I wanted.
The people can't stay that long.
All right, you want me to be done?
I'll just do a couple of... we got about 5 minutes left. Don't fetch.
All right, I'm done.
Okay.
I don't appreciate you telling me I'm running out of time.
Well, then don't listen to me. Do what you want.
Okay.
Well, tell the people you're done.
I don't know if I'm done yet. I'm checking the chat room.
The chat room is great.
10 more minutes, please. All day podcast. Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're going to get now to the Cardinals situation. The Cardinals outfield, the Cardinals depth chart, Brendan Donovan, Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, Dylan Carlson. You have a lot of situation going on. What? Juan Yepes is another one. He's listed as the DH there. For their depth chart, what RotoWire has down, which is not etched in stone by any means, but left field Tyler O'Neill, center field Dylan Carlson, right field Lars Nootbaar, and of course Jordan Walker is amazing everybody right now. And if you look at the spring training stats, even Dylan Carlson is having a much better time. He's only batting .238, but he's hit 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. He's definitely got the job. It's easy to give up on a guy like Dylan Carlson, but please don't do it. He's worked hard to get where he is, and the job is his. He's going to keep it. Jordan Walker, let me tell you about Jordan Walker. He hasn't even made it past AA. I will compare him to Julio Rodriguez and the situation that Seattle had last year going into the season. I was adamant that Julio Rodriguez would not make the opening day roster. Why? Because there was no place for him to play, number one. It didn't seem like there was a clear path to playing time, and he had not even made it above AA. The same exact situation here with Jordan Walker, just tearing it up this spring, no place to play, and hasn't made it above AA. I'm very hesitant to put any eggs in the basket of a rookie or a prospect, especially because 80% of the time they don't pan out. I will say this. Over the last 5 or 6 years, I've seen a lot of prospects come up and be successful, a lot more than I did when I first started playing fantasy baseball. So as the years go by, as they continue to go by, these prospects and these rookies are better than they used to be. What's St. Louis going to do with Jordan Walker? Why can't he come up and play? Well, if they don't have a place for him to play every day, they're not going to want him in the majors. I just don't see them promoting Jordan Walker out of spring training just based on what he's done this spring. But he is sure putting up a fight to get that job, isn't he? And don't be surprised if it happens. Because, like I said, Julio Rodriguez, I was so sure of myself that he would not be on the opening day roster. And there he was. And now he's a first-round pick. So it can happen. Does it happen very often? No. You look at Jordan Walker's stats last year, 19 homers and 22 stolen bases, got caught stealing 5 times at AA. And the year before that, he only he's getting better every year. Here's the thing. I don't know where he's going to play. Nolan Gorman, on the other hand, King Turd specifically mentioned Nolan Gorman. He made his debut last May. He had a solid rookie campaign, 14 home runs, 720 OPS in 89 games, but he strikes out way too much. He struck out almost 33% of the time, which isn't that abnormal for a rookie, for a prospect. And he walks 9% of the time. That's okay, but he still needs to stop swinging and missing. I think he's swinging at stuff outside of the zone. Now, he's a 22-year-old second baseman. Brendan Donovan is giving him a run for his money. Brendan Donovan is, let me look here. He's listed as the starting second baseman for the Cardinals. And Brendan Donovan, I have the spring training stats here, I thought. He's batting good this spring. I know that. So where is Nolan Gorman going to play if Brendan Donovan gets the job at second base? Can they share? I think one of them's a lefty and one of them's a righty, if that tells you anything. Where do you think, Leonard?
I didn't hear what you said.
What do you think about Brendan Donovan?
No place to play.
But he's listed as the opening day second baseman right now.
It's not the opening day second baseman.
That's what RotoWire says.
Well, RotoWire is wrong.
Brendan Donovan made his big league debut for the Cardinals late April, and he also had a solid campaign. 126 games, 281 batting average. He's not as flashy as Nolan Gorman. He doesn't have as high of a ceiling for fantasy because he doesn't hit for power. He bats .290 though. He's got a good plate discipline, but he's not flashy. He's not a 5-tool player for fantasy guys, but his defense is really what gets him the job at second base. He's got a 13% strikeout rate, or a 13% walk rate, and a 15% strikeout rate. And you compare that to Nolan Gorman, who's over there swinging at everything and striking out like 30% of the time.
Where does Tommy Edman play? Shortstop?
Yes.
And Paul DeJong is out?
I don't know about Paul DeJong either. Tommy Edman is sliding over to shortstop, but he can play all over the infield. It's an interesting question.
Okay, we'll talk about it again tomorrow. Don't forget.
Yeah, we'll talk about it again tomorrow. But I'm glad you brought it up because it's interesting. We talked about the Dodgers left fielder, but we've talked about it. James Outman is clearly the favorite for fantasy. They like Josh Outman. They're excited about him. He's batting .389 this spring so far. But you have Jason Hayward. Where does Jason Hayward fit in?
Nowhere.
So they're not going to have Jason Hayward.
He'll be a fourth outfielder, pinch hitter, reserve type.
In 2022, James Outman hit 32 home runs and stole 13 bases. In 2021, he had 18 home runs with 23 stolen bases, so he can do everything, a little bit of everything. He did make it up to the majors last year, so this isn't just his first time. He only played in 4 games, though, so he's really trying hard to get a spot. And if Lenny's right, it's Jason Hayward is out. Left fielder belongs to David Peralta. What about Chris Taylor? Where does Chris Taylor play? Center field, and right field is Mookie Betts. So who plays left field? You have a huge pileup over here in left field. David Peralta, Trace Thompson, and James Outman. Is there a Josh Outman too? I think there's a Josh Outman too. This is James Outman we're talking about. 27.2% strikeout rate though. We'll see what happens. And this guy, he's struck out his whole career. This is not anything new that he strikes out a lot. Last year, when he did make it to the majors for 4 games, he struck out 43.8% of the time. But even all through every level of the minors, he strikes out in the high 20s. And it's not good. I do think they're going to find a place for Jason Hayward. He's got a great arm, so we'll see. All right. Giants third baseman. David Villar looks to be the favorite to get the spot for the Giants third baseman. But you look at there's a lot of people that are waiting for this guy, Casey Schmidt, to come up. And he's had a lot of at-bats this spring. He's batting he's batting .389. And he's a fan favorite for the third baseman of the future. But he is not ready to come up yet. And I don't think it's going to happen. But you also have Wilmer Flores. David Villar seems to be the guy. He had 9 home runs in 54 games last year with the .231 batting average. Doesn't do anything on as far as stealing bases, but the Giants are an interesting team with their pitching and with their offense. They have a lot of position battles going on. The Giants' 5th starter job, Anthony DeSclafani and Alex Wood. You also have Jacob Junis, Sam Long, and another guy that isn't ready, but he's getting a lot of attention this spring. Sean, how do you spell his name? How do you pronounce it? Hjelle.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
All right, Lenny's telling me to go, so everybody have a great day. It was nice.
I'm not telling you to go. I was just saying I was doing something else. Not telling you to go. Everybody wants you to stay.
I think DeSclafani has a chance of getting some starts. I really do. I think that Alex Wood is so flimsy and so not sturdy, and he's always getting injured. Why wouldn't they give DeSclafani an opportunity to get some starts? Let me tell you, last year he was limited to 5 starts, which absolutely crushed his fantasy value going into this season. Anthony DeSclafani finished last year after 5 starts, 0-2 with a 6.63 ERA and a 2 whip. He was horrible, but let's talk about what was bothering him. It was his ankle, and he actually needed surgery on that ankle. And right now he's entering spring with his ankle completely healed. And it's always nice to see that it's an ankle injury and not an arm injury on a pitcher. He actually had a great season the year before. Last year, in 2021, he had a 3.17 ERA, a 1.09 whip, and 152 strikeouts with 42 walks across 167 and 2/3 innings. This guy is going super late in drafts. ADP 513. Can you believe it? ADP 513. And Alex Wood is going real late too, but not as late as DeSclafani. And my opinion is, when he came to San Francisco, of course, San Francisco is going to help you out as a pitcher anyways, just because of the ballpark that you're in. But add to the fact that they have one of the best pitching coaches in the country who was able to turn around guys like Kevin Gausman and other pitchers. DeSclafani had an excellent season for this team, and there's no reason why he wouldn't get some opportunities, but he's absolutely being overlooked in fantasy, and I would recommend highly to give him a chance. He's only pitched 2 innings this spring so far, but he's got an ERA of 0, no earned runs, 3 strikeouts in 2 innings, and 1 hit allowed. Look at Alex Wood, 4 2/3 innings this spring, 3 hits allowed, 7.71 ERA. The spring numbers don't mean anything, but like I said, they have Alex Wood listed as their number 5 starter, and they have DeSclafani listed as their number 6 starter, and Alex Wood can't complete a full season to save his life, and DeSclafani's coming back from an ankle injury, not an arm injury, and he was excellent in 2021, so consider him in your drafts. The Guardians catcher. Here's a good one that's not a position battle anymore. We were having a position battle between Bo Naylor and Brian Lavastida for the backup catcher to Mike Zunino. And who knows? I mean, Mike Zunino, he's on and off. He's okay behind the plate. But Bo Naylor was just recently optioned to AAA. And Bo Naylor was really exciting because he was actually, he's the brother of Josh Naylor. Is that his name? Yep. Anyway, Bo Naylor, last year, 21 homers and 20 stolen bases, got caught stealing 4 times in the minors. So he's an exciting young catcher, but he's not going to start the season. So if you're going to have to draft some backup catcher, or if you have Zunino as one of your catchers, I feel bad for you, but it looks like Lavastida is going to get the backup job to Mike Zunino since they just optioned Bo Naylor back down to AAA. They want him to get more reps in the minors, and eventually he's probably their catcher of the future. Lavastida had 9 home runs and 7 stolen bases, and he got caught stealing 2. Batting, last year he batted horrible. He batted .083, so here's it's not going to be any better than Zunino. Anyway, Zunino's the full catcher, and then the backup, they're probably going to share time. The Marlins' 5th starter. Can you believe Luzardo is their number 2 starting pitchers? Is that going to be good for anybody? Here's Johnny Cueto as my number 4 reserve in a 15-team league, which I couldn't believe he actually lasted that long. Yes, I know he's old, okay? I know he's old, but he didn't have a bad season last year. Not just you, Leonard. Braxton Garrett and Edward Cabrera seem to be the 2 fighting for the 5th spot. They also have Yuri Perez, who's a prospect, but I don't think that he's ready to come up. Let's talk about Edward Cabrera and Braxton Garrett real quick. I think that Edward Cabrera is the better of the 2 pitchers. He's a righty. He's got above average velocity, a very unique changeup. 3 pitchers with greater than 30% strikeout rate. 3 different pitches with 30% strikeout rate. He's also got 4 pitches, primary pitches, and between those 4 pitches that he uses, he holds the opposing batters to an average of 182 or less. He made 14 starts for the Marlins last year. He won 6 of them. He gave up 10 home runs and 33 walks in just 71 2/3 innings. But he's very young. He's only 24. So he's excellent against lefties, and let's see what he's doing in the spring. Edward Cabrera, 5 innings pitched, a 1.80 ERA, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, 4 hits, 5 innings. Braxton Garrett, 5 innings too. These 2 are definitely fighting for the last spot in the rotation because you have Alcantara, Jesus Luzardo, Trevor Rogers, Johnny Cueto, and then you have Braxton Garrett and Edward Cabrera. What?
Nothing.
All right. That's it. Braxton Garrett and Edward Cabrera. I think Edward's better, but I'm going to let you guys go now because it's time to go. And I hope you all have a great day.
Tomorrow. I'm getting you tomorrow. Tomorrow is my turn to get you.
We'll see you tomorrow. Lady in the Legend, 9 a.m. Be here or be square.